My wife's been cheating with her friend, so I went ahead and scorched Earth. I shivered as I thumbed through her phone's texts, every word stabbing me in the heart. Unquestionable evidence of her adultery with a person I had previously trusted was there. I was boiling with anger, but underneath that was a deep hurt that felt like it would swallow me whole. Like every other day, I got ready for another day of filming as the sun slowly rose over the horizon. Sarah, my wife, kissed me on the cheek and said farewell, her grin as dazzling as ever. I had no idea that behind that smile were mysteries deeper than the night. My world collapsed only when I happened to glance at her phone out of the blue. Conversations between Sarah and her buddy Alex revealed a picture of dishonesty and treachery. As I read every line, the weight of their affair felt like a blanket smothering me and my heart hammered in my chest. I faced Sarah that night, my vision clouded by anger and hurt. As she apologized to them for her transgressions, tears were streaming down her face, but they didn't seem to hear her. Our once shared trust broke into a million irreversible fragments. Driven by fury and a quest for fairness, I resorted to my YouTube channel, expressing my suffering with every utterance. I told the truth in a video called Betrayal and Redemption, making it publicly visible. I had a wave of catharsis with every upload button click, yet the pain persisted below it all. The criticism increased in tandem with the video's popularity. While some praised me for speaking the truth, others said I was spreading my dirty laundry in exchange for views. However, there was a gleam of optimism among the pandemonium. Viewers who had been the victims of similar betrayals poured in with messages, comforted in the knowledge that they were not alone. I was rescued from the depths of hopelessness by the group of support I discovered through the screen. Sarah and I dealt with the fallout from my Scorched Earth strategy in the weeks that followed. Our union was barely hanging together thanks to flimsy threads of forgiveness and optimism. Our trust was shattered, but we were gently piecing it back together with every day that went by. We committed to moving forward stronger than we ever were apart, even though the wounds from the past would never completely heal. And as the sun descended on our turbulent voyage, I took comfort in the idea that despite betrayal, atonement was still achievable. Days became weeks as Sarah and I worked our way through the difficult process of reconciliation. There were times when she felt too hurt to withstand the pain of her betrayal. But as time went on, we noticed that we were getting closer to a shaky version of normalcy. Therapy turned become our lifeline, offering a secure environment in which to peel back the year's worth of hurt and bitterness. We discovered the underlying reasons of our marital strife via tearful sessions and frank discussions, facing them head-on with newly discovered bravery and vulnerability. Trust germinated again, slowly but steadily, like thin tendrils breaking through compacted earth. Sarah's actions demonstrated the depth of her regret, and her dedication to mending our friendship spoke loudly. However, even with our advancements, the shadow of uncertainty continued to hover, threatening to undermine our brutal reconciliation. I was wondering if I would ever be able to fully let go of the pain that had overtaken me when I found myself struggling with the weight of forgiveness during those uncertain moments. But as time passed, I realized that forgiveness was a journey with many ups and downs rather than a single act. It meant facing my own weaknesses and fears, letting go of the long-held hatred and fury that had imprisoned me. Ultimately, love emerged as the victor, a ray of hope that helped us navigate the shadows. Our relationship was forged in the crucible of hardship, and in spite of the wounds from our past, we rose from the ashes stronger and more resilient than before. And as we stood there, holding hands and looking out into the distance, I knew that no matter what obstacles were in our way, we would overcome them as a couple, bonded by our unwavering determination to love, respect, and cherish one another until the day we die. The path ahead was not devoid of difficulties. There were new problems to face every day. When trust was shaken, it was hard to put it back together because doubt could quickly bruise its brittle tendrils. There were times when we regressed, when old hurts flared up so painfully that they felt like they would swallow us whole again. I started to wonder if our love would be able to withstand the storm at those vulnerable times. But Sarah was at my side the entire time, her unflinching support a lighthouse of hope in the shadows. Her acts spoke louder than words could ever hope to, repeatedly demonstrating to me the sincerity of her love. We set out on a voyage of self-discovery together, sorting through the complex web of our past to find solace and atonement. The process was laden with ambiguity, with every advancement being accompanied by the persistent specter of uncertainty. However, in the midst of our mutual suffering, we discovered strength in one another's arms, a haven from the internal tempests. The scars from the past started to fade with every day, to be replaced by a renewed sense of fortitude and resolve. I saw how forgiveness was a journey of growth and regeneration rather than a destination as we made our way through the ups and downs of our shared trip. It meant facing my own issues and letting go of the bitterness and rage that had imprisoned me for so long. Ultimately, love triumphed, serving as a ray of hope that illuminated the shadows. Our relationship, which had been damaged by betrayal, has recovered and grown stronger than it had ever been, which is evidence of the strength of atonement and forgiveness. And as we stood hand in hand and looked out into the distance, I knew that no matter what challenges were ahead, we would overcome them as a couple, bonded by our unwavering determination to love, respect, and adore one another for all of eternity. The scars from the past gradually started to heal as the days stretched into months, giving way to a fresh sense of comprehension and serenity. Once on the verge of disintegrating, our friendship was formed in the furnace of hardship and emerged as something sturdy and lovely. Throughout it all, Sarah and I developed open lines of communication in which we freely shared our worries and insecurities. It was a journey of self-discovery and personal development that drew us closer every day. However, the shadow of uncertainty continued to hover in the back of my mind, even as we rejoiced in our newly discovered bond. The wounds from her betrayal were still visible in my heart, a continual reminder of the suffering we had gone through, even though I yearned to trust Sarah completely again. However, forgiveness followed healing in due course. I came to see that harboring grudges would only damage our bond and deprive us of the pleasure and contentment we so richly earned. Consequently, I deliberately chose to let go of the past and welcome the future with open arms and a positive spirit. And I felt that our love was more powerful than any challenge we could encounter as we stood on the brink of a fresh start. We had persevered through the storm together and come out on top, our friendship unwavering in the face of difficulty. I grabbed Sarah's hand in mine and felt the warmth of her touch permeate into my spirit as the sun sank below the horizon, bathing the earth in a golden glow. Surrounded by the splendor of the earth we had worked so hard to save, I realized at that very moment that our love was unending, an ray of light in a world gone dark. I couldn't help but think back on the trip that had led us to this point as we strolled hand in hand into the setting sun. It had been a turbulent journey, full of heartbreak and hopelessness, as well as intensely joyful and loving moments. Sarah and I had bravely and resolutely confronted the deepest recesses of our souls, facing our demons head-on. And in the process, we had become more robust and resilient than we had ever been. However, despite the fact that we were enjoying our newfound happiness, couldn't get rid of the persistent worry that history might repeat itself. Even after they had healed, the scars from betrayal remained, serving as a continual reminder of how easily trust may be broken. Nevertheless, all I saw when I gazed into Sarah's eyes was sincerity and affection. Throughout our relationship, she had consistently demonstrated her commitment by going above and beyond to make things right. I decided to let go of my worries and welcome the future with open arms at that very moment, because I was aware that true love was worthwhile despite all odds. I made a commitment to myself as we traveled forward to treasure every second and to cling tightly to the love we had. And even though the path ahead would occasionally be difficult, I believed that as long as we were united, we could get beyond any challenge that stood in our way. With our hands clasped together, we strolled into the twilight, prepared to confront whatever obstacles ahead, confident that our affection would sustain us. Our love grew deeper with every second that went by as the days grew into weeks and the weeks into months. Together, we discussed our aspirations and hopes for the future as well as our laughs and tears. Even so, there were still times when I felt uncertainty seeping into my thoughts. The wounds from the past had not quite healed, and I was plagued by thoughts of Sarah's treachery. I still had concerns, but Sarah didn't waver in her dedication to our partnership. She made the extra effort to show me that she loved me and that she was genuinely interested in our future together. I started to let go of the hurt and hatred that had formerly overwhelmed me gradually but steadily. I came to see that clinging to the past would only impede our development and keep us from experiencing the enjoyment that was right in front of us. Sarah and I went on exciting new excursions together and made lifelong memories. We visited far-off places, experimented with new interests, and commemorated both significant and little victories. And as time went on, I noticed that the barriers surrounding my heart started to come down, to be replaced by an overpowering feeling of love and thankfulness for the woman who had supported me throughout it all. I realized that our voyage was far from done as we watched the sun set on a remote beach while holding hands. But with Sarah at my side, I knew that our love was more powerful than any challenge we would face, so I was prepared to face whatever lay ahead. And I said a small prayer of gratitude for our second chance as the stars above us danced, shining their soft light upon us. Because I had found my home and my compass in an uncertain world in Sarah's embrace, and we would travel the seas of life together, connected by a love that was as strong as the ocean. Upon feeling the embrace of the night sky, I realized that our adventure was far from ended. However, I experienced a surge of calm at that same moment when the stars shone overhead and the waves smashed on the coast. I had discovered courage in the face of hardship and comfort in the middle of chaos with Sarah by my side. After enduring the storm, our love had become stronger and more resilient than before. With our hearts full and hands clasped together, we walked back towards our seashore cottage, confident that we would overcome any challenges that were ahead as a couple. Because in Sarah's eyes I had discovered my light, my rescue in a dark world, and I was confident that we could overcome anything as long as we had each other. I smiled, love in my heart, and took a deep breath, prepared to welcome whatever lay ahead. I realized then that our love was boundless, a powerful force that could conquer the most formidable challenges. Hand in hand, we ventured into the darkness, eager to begin writing the next chapter of our tale, confident that our love would guide us.